Hello, it's your girl Ameze back on your screen. If you're watching me, this is AMZ TV. And if you're listening to me, of course, it's Ameze Live. Thank you so much. I've got an exciting guest today. Oh my goodness. I am so blown away just having this superstar, this mega star with me, sitting down with me today and just hanging with me. I'm really excited. I hope I can get the words out because my words are starting to just rush against each other. But she is, I said, superstar, mega star. Um, she's gone way beyond Nollywood. Okay, Nollywood is child's play. She's a mother, very proud one of that. She's a wife. I know that's a role she's very happy with. She is an actress. I've already told you guys that. She is a producer. She's a singer. Lovely voice. I mean, she's not even a triple threat. She's quadruple. She's like multiple threats. She's also a speaker, motivational speaker, because I've heard her do some of her talks. So guess who I'm talking about? I'm talking about she's Mrs., but I'm going to call her Miss Stella Damasus. Hi, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All that intro for just this.
For just you. I edited it, I took some off because, those haters, well, we don't care. Haters are doing their thing to do your thing. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. Before you say anything, let me just put it out there that, like I told you, you're one of the reasons why I got into the movie industry in the first place. So when you're saying superstar about me, I'm thinking this is a mega star calling me a superstar because I was looking up to you, when I was watching your movies back in the day, and I was like, I have to be like this woman. I have to be like this woman. So thank you for that.
Thank you. That is so sweet that you said that. Thank you. When I hear things like that, it humbles me. I'm very honored. I've also had someone tell me not too long ago. I mean, yeah. I don't want to tear up. People say that I can cry. This one here.
I learned from the best.
Yeah, not too long ago, someone told me also that I got him into movies, and I'm like, well, I'm humbled. Anyway, how did it all start? I mean, aside from you looking at me and getting inspired, but how did it all start for you? What pushed you into it?
It was, I stumbled on it by accident because I had always wanted to be that person, but because of the kind of family I came from, I was afraid at that time to even venture into, because you know how it was at that time. They were very, you people were seen as very bold to be able to do that and get away with it. But for my family, it was really impossible at that time. So a friend of mine came to my house one day. I was living with my sister in Lagos. I was about 15 or 16. I think I was 16. And then she came and said, oh, that she was going for an audition somewhere. I should come with her. I hadn't even showered. I was putting on a pair of jeans and big t-shirt and all that. And she said, come with me. And I went with her. I just sat there outside. I saw so many girls and they were auditioning for the same role. So she went in and came out. And as I was about to leave, some guy just came out and said, hey, have you been auditioned? I'm like, no, I didn't come to audition. I came with a friend.
Oh my God.
And he was like, oh, I like your voice and I like the way you look. So why don't you come in? I'm like, I don't know how to. He said, just come. So I went inside. They gave me a script. They told me to just read. And as I was reading, I was laughing. I'm like, I don't know why these people are doing this, but this is all fun and games to me. I didn't think it was serious. And then they took my details. And 3 weeks later, they came to the studio while I was working. I was working in Kling Studio in Surulere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were like, the director said, we should give you the role. I'm like, what? I was joking. I don't know how to do this thing that people are doing. I really have loved it as a younger person. I saw people that I admired, but I don't know how I can do this. And they were like, we're going to pay you 10,000 naira. I'm like, what? Because at that time, my salary was 750 naira a month.
Right.
I'm like, you're going to put me in a movie and pay me.
And then pay me.
Right.
Right.
And they did. They did. I went there. They were very helpful. It was Matthias Obayagbo that
Okay.
directed it.
Oh.
Mhm. And then Kenneth Okonkwo played opposite me. He was very patient with me.
Oh.
And that was my first job. And then when the poster came out, I nearly died. I'm like, my father summoned me. I was like, what are you doing? And my family disowned me for 3 years. Like, you can't do this. You have to stop. You have to go to school. I'm like, I will go to school, but I also want to do this.
Mm,
And I made a promise to myself that even if I do get fully into the industry, that I would graduate
mm,
and make my parents proud. And it just grew from there. I attended different auditions. I got some roles. And from then on, it just started growing,
so
you know.
great. I did. What movie was that? What was that first movie? The
The
movie
very, very first one, Abused.
Abused. Yes,
Yeah.
Abused. Yes. And I remember. I don't know if that's the one I saw you in, but I do remember that because in that I was part of the inner caucus, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing you. And I don't know if I mentioned this to you, and I'm like, she's gonna go places.
Yeah.
It's not even just about because of the pretty and all. No, but you
Yeah.
you always know those that have the eat factor. You know,
Yeah.
you kind of
Yeah.
do. And then
Yeah.
it was you came out. You were bold. It was there. It's in you. You know, of course, you were in the process of honing your craft, but it was there. You kind of just know. And I don't know if I shared that with you before, but I said
You
it.
mentioned.
Okay, it was with my
You
friends. We just, I'm like, because again, part of that, because I was, you get to see some of the things even before the public sees it.
yeah.
So I was in
Yeah.
that crowd and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
she's good.
Oh.
She's good. She's gonna go places. She's
Mm-hmm.
good. There's some people I've known that have pointed out that way that, and they've turned out to be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. And so I was telling you guys about crying. Yes. She
Yeah.
she cries. And there's one of your movies, and we're going to talk about iconic roles, but there's a movie of yours I know that was very popular, and it made people talk about it. I think a lot of times when people talk about you, they talk about this movie, and that's the movie Widow. Is it The
Yeah.
Widow or Widow? Yeah,
You know.
that was very, very popular and painful to watch. Actually,
Yes.
it was
Yes.
very. How was that playing that role, and how did it affect you?
Um. At first, when I read the script, because it was Agatha, formerly Amata, that brought the script to me with Kingsley Ogoro. They
Mhm.
were both producers on the job, and they brought the script, and they're like, "This is a true life story. It happened to someone, and
Mhm.
the woman is in the UK right now." And I read the script. I'm like, "It's impossible for someone to go through all of this. I mean, this is too much. Nobody will believe that is a true story." And then we started filming, and we didn't finish. At that time, they wanted to release the film as is, you know. So for some strange reason, I at that time now lost my husband, which was crazy
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we were done. They were going to release it, but something happened and there was a delay. And then in that process, my husband passed. And then a lot of things shockingly happened that I didn't expect to happen because I didn't realize that when it came to widowhood practices, that there were some things that we didn't pay attention to in the past. And it was really crazy. So when I was seeing a lot of these things, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the story that I just did. And somebody went through it. And I was sitting there thinking, it's not possible for someone to go through something like this. But I'm seeing things happen in front of me. And my only saving grace is because of who I was. So a lot of things cannot play out because of who I am. And a lot
Right.
of people will
Right.
back off to say,
Right.
she's in
Right.
the limelight, let her not bring us outside.
Right.
So, and when that happened, um, it was Aquila and Diama directed the first phase of it. But after Jay died, King Zogoro reached out to me and said, look, we wanted to add some few things. That's why there's a delay. We want to add some few things to the film before we go and release it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I brought in, I think, two scenes that happened personally
To you.
to me. And I brought it in and I'm like, can we do this? It will make me feel like it's authentic because this is really happening to the actress in the movie. So can we add it? And they said yes. So we added those two scenes, and those scenes ended up becoming my favorite. But it was the most difficult thing to film because the first phase of filming was fine. I had a husband, so I was okay. But the second phase of it was the most difficult thing to film. Even when we did the premiere, I couldn't get through the movie I would always break down because I could identify with what the original person
Right.
was going through and all that. But a lot of people thought that the initial story, they thought it was my story. It wasn't. I
Mm-hmm.
just added two scenes in it, but it was a story that resonated with a lot of widows going through what they were going through in Nigeria, knowing that we don't have laws that really protect widows like that, hoping that movies like that will really bring that to the limelight, which I think made a lot of people, because I lost my husband in the process, a lot of people were drawn to that particular movie, and it really made it bigger than we expected it to be. But it was a very difficult period in my life. But I think the film gave me more courage to just, this is what I do. I'm telling a story, and I happen to be a part of this story now. So just keep telling stories and keep going.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the reasons why I'm actually asking you that, I watched on your YouTube channel, you had a lady on there, doctor,
Yeah.
who actually a widow. I actually watched it, and and it's I know it's something you're very passionate about, and that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to bring it out, because
Yeah.
it's universally, I don't think widows are treated fairly,
Mm-hmm.
but even particularly in that country.
Yeah.
I do remember very early on when I was a very young. I would say maybe my eighth grade. I'm thinking eighth grade or seventh grade. And one of my favorite teachers lost her husband. And the sad thing was, she came. I don't. Hopefully, it's not this. Well, I don't know what the story was, but
Mm-hmm.
this lady, they came from. She moved to Nigeria with her husband, her family from the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and the husband had passed. Oh my God.
Wow.
And then,
Mm-hmm.
she was a neighbor because I lived in Festac then. So it was sad. It was,
Mm-hmm.
and that left, I always wondered why. Oh, she was wailing. She woke up the families can be mean.
Oh, yeah, they can.
Very mean.
They
They
can.
had this woman so, and she had kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids for the man, and this gets you thinking. I don't think, I mean, yeah, you say it's your brother, but would your brother be happy that you're doing this to his kids, though?
Oh, exactly.
You sort of
Nobody thinks about that.
say,
Nobody think, and the thing is, they take out their resentment for you on the children without realizing that it's the children that are going to suffer for it.
on the
You
children.
know?
I mean,
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the saddest thing. It's the
that's the
children
thing.
that suffer.
Yeah.
Mm,
So my saving grace was that I looked at my daughters and I said, this will not be your narrative. This will not be your story. You will be bigger and better than I can even dream of being.
man,
And that will be my response to everyone who thought that that was the end of Stella.
yeah.
That was the end of her life. I said, my response is they will live. I said, God, keep them alive, or nothing shall happen to them.
I'm
Keep them alive.
23.
They, they will live to see
Yes.
that table that you're setting before
That's
me. They must
that
live to see
table.
it, and it's really true what the Bible says about God being the husband of the widows
Yeah.
and the father to the fatherless. He
Yeah.
was really there,
Oh, my.
for us. So yeah.
That because when I watched that interview with that doctor, when you had her on your YouTube channel, I'm like, this is something I could tell you're very passionate about. And of course, I knew about, you know,
Yeah.
late husband's passing.
Hmm.
So I was like, and at such a tender age too.
Hmm.
Nigeria. Anyway, moving along. So one thing that I also want to ask you, for you and I, being outside of Nollywood, we're not based in Nigeria. Compare, do some kind of comparison for me. Nigeria, Nollywood then, as we knew it, Nigerian home videos, because I think you came in before it was called
Yeah.
Nollywood. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and Nollywood now as we know it. I just want you
um,
to juxtapose that and tell me what's your
um
view about it.
I I'm in the middle of everything because luckily, like you said, I was there before the Nollywood as they know it now, and I was also a part of the new Nollywood before I left. So
Yeah,
I could see, the strengths and weaknesses that we had in both eras. So during our era, like let's start from your era down to mine. One of the things that we had that was our greatest strength were our stories. We had amazing stories, strong, beautiful stories, and we were more dependent on the stories and the acting than the technical, than the glam of it. We were authentic. It was the authenticity of what we're trying to do, telling the kind of stories we wanted to tell, that was more important, for the productions. And then we now entered the era of, oh, now there's technology, now there's glam, now we know what they're doing in the Western world. Now we're trying to be, like technically sound, so that we're competing with the world out there, which is good, which is not bad. But now I think, with this era, what has suffered a bit is our stories now. The authenticity of the way we tell our stories. We are trying to be too much of what we're not. I'm not saying everything must be local, no, but I'm saying even when you're trying to use technology, tell the good stories. So I'm looking at a time where before it was good stories, now it's more technical. Our stories are suffering. I'm looking at a Nollywood that would enter another phase where we can now blend telling good stories with good technical quality, in a way that can be consumed by the whole world, that they can understand and appreciate. Because sometimes I look at the representation of Nollywood here in America, and I'm like, nah, this is not our best. This is not what they should be seeing of us, because we are better than this. We've moved past this. So it's in us realizing that, okay, we've done the stories, we found the technology to advance it. Now is the time to now put both together and make it authentic, and forget about this social media lifestyle that we're putting in our movies now, which doesn't make sense to me. And each time I say it, people keep saying, Stella, your mouth is bad. I'm like, yeah, if it's bad, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you the truth. We are better than what we're presenting. I've attended meetings in LA, I've attended meetings in different places where we sit down and talk to people who are potential investors, and people who say, we're interested because your market is huge, but there's just a disconnect. And I'm like, this is what the disconnect is. We know what it is, but are we willing to fix it, and all that?
So,
So
so what is this disconnect?
the disconnect for them is, you people are not telling us the stories that the world expects to see from
Right,
Africa. You
right.
are concentrating on the things that you cannot be better than Hollywood when it comes to technology and
And that's
all
one
the camera
actor.
angles and all that. Yeah,
Mhm.
you can't be. So I think your greatest strength, use whatever technology you have and tell your story. So I attended a meeting where one guy categorically said, look, Stella, if people are not telling the kind of stories that we want to see, then maybe you guys should go and start optioning books. And which is what has started happening. Netflix went into Nigeria, and now they've optioned Lola Shoneyen's book, The Four Wives of Baba Stegi, I think. Four Wives. I just got the books if I wanted to read it to see, and from what I've seen so far, it's amazing, and that's what everybody is trying to do now. Like, it's like our script writers are not able to tell authentic stories the way we want them to be told. So now Netflix and Hollywood is telling us, you know what, go back to those old books, go back to Things Fall Apart. That's why Ramsey did Living in Bondage, and everybody was like, oh my God. I'm like, he added a few things to it, but this is what it is. People are still interested in the authentic
Authentic.
stories
Yeah.
that we had. And you remember, I said to you, sis, please, for crying out loud, bring back flesh and blood. We want stuff like that. So that's what we're missing. That's the disconnect. We want to see an Africa like what Black Panther did in America. Like, a lot of people did not have an idea that you could represent Africa in that way that will make
Right.
people so proud of being Black.
Yeah.
And we are the real Africans. We are the ones that should be telling stories like that. And the painful part is that we have the capacity to do it, but we don't collaborate enough. That's another problem we have in our industry. We don't collaborate enough to say, if you bring three of the top producers, we can actually collaborate and do a big movie
Yeah.
that would even be better than a Black
But
Panther. We
everybody
would
wants
make
to
it
do
more
their own thing.
authentic. Yeah, yeah.
Everybody wants to do their own thing. Everybody wants to shine alone, and it doesn't work that way. There's strength in collaboration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so remember, I told you guys that she's a speaker, and you're marvelous. You're very eloquent, and very early on, those things came out. In your movies, in you just because you can always tell. You can always tell. You can always separate the shaft from the real thing.
Yeah,
There are
Yeah.
those that will come there, they're trying to finagle, or they're trying. You're authentic. I like that to use that word, and I'm just using it. But you are. It's not just because I have you. We have talked behind, and I told you, I did. So on her shirt, if you all look at it, could you like do it to the camera so we can? It's called Soldier in Red Lipstick. So soldier, yeah, soldiers in red lipstick. So what is that? Tell us about that.
It's just a female community that I set up for those of us who love God, those of us who want to learn and grow together in faith. Because I'm not gonna lie, there was a time that I was every pastor that preaches, I'm following that pastor everywhere. I'm like, I wanted to be the best born again Christian ever, but for the wrong reasons.
Reasons.
I felt, oh, if I'm born again and I'm really serious and everything, maybe, this is what will take me to heaven. This is what it's supposed to be. And I was receiving messages in the wrongest way. And I sat down one day and I just realized that for some reason I was bothered about something. I was bothered about something, and I realized that the Holy Spirit was nudging me and saying, "There are so many people like you who really want to know God, the real God for who He is, not who people tell you He is. It's
Yep.
time for you to sit down and find out who He is for yourself and grow." There are so many um, steps that people skip when it comes to Christianity, and that's why there's so many fake Christians, so many fake pastors and fake churches all over the world. And I didn't want to fall into that mold. I just realized that I knew God as this God that was just there. I'm too afraid to sin. So, but He's like, I wanted to see Him as a dad, as a
Yep.
father.
Yep.
Make Christianity simple and sweet. And I don't want to feel bad that I can't cram how many verses. I don't want to feel bad that when people are speaking in tongues, my tongue is not rolling. I don't want to feel, I want to be relaxed.
So
I just
true.
want to sit down and talk to God
Yeah.
and be myself and enjoy my time with Him. And I realized that it wasn't just me. There were other women that were like me, that were married, that were, they were doing their work. They were not necessarily working in church. I just wanted women from all walks of life. And I don't restrict it to, you must be Pentecostal. No. I always say, if you love God, you want to know Him, you want to grow, let's all grow together. I don't come there to be preaching. I don't do that. People send videos. Sometimes we put out prayers. There was a time we were doing when women pray together. We pray every week. I call one of the members and I'm like, please, it's your turn to pray. We're praying about this, so prepare yourself. We just try to hold each other up, and people send prayer requests. Sometimes people send DMs like, I'm going through this in my marriage. I'm going through this in my home. My child is doing this. Can you guys pray for me? And I come and make an announcement. Let's just pray for this person. It's like a community of women where it's a judgment-free zone. There's no gossip. There's no negative comment. There's no backbiting. On Instagram is private, So when people come and request, I check everybody's page to make sure it's not a troll account
Right.
or. So we're about 9,900 and something. We're almost 10,000 people on Instagram right now. So
Wow.
it's just been God that's been, I don't know where God is taking that community to. I don't know what He wants to do with it, but I just go with the flow. So
Praise
yeah.
God for that. When God wants to use you, just open up yourself and let yourself be used. That's a wonderful testimony right there. And it's going to keep growing because, again, remember I told you guys, if you're watching this is AMZ TV on YouTube, and it's live on my podcast. I told you she's very real. You are. You're very authentic. I like that word. I really do, because you are. Because there's just so much fakeness.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's draining. It's depleting.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has time for that. But because I saw that, I'm like, because I saw when you put it up. I think it was on Instagram also. And I'm like, okay. But then I didn't go back to it until this. But that's a wonderful thing. And women need a safe space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Women need
We do. We
a
do.
safe space.
We do.
Something I'm going to ask you, and I did a video on it. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was a personal experience that happened to me
Mm.
many years ago. I graduated University of Benin in 1988. Oh my God, I'm dating myself right now. But in my final year, I experienced sexual assault. And I actually talked about it. I did. I have a video on it. And the reason why I'm asking you, because you're a mother, you have daughters, and I have, some of my guests also. What is your take on rape, sexual assault, things like that. What do you think, not just in Nigeria, because it's a universal problem, but
It is.
what is your I just want to know how you feel about, what's your take on it?
That for me is the most dehumanizing thing that anyone can do to a woman. And it really hurt me that it took so long for people to start owning up to it and coming up to say this happened to me. Because I've been trying to say this for over 15 years, and too many people around me going through it. I guess that's why a lot of people feel that Stella's mouth is bad, Stella is too bold, Stella is too this, because I don't know how to be diplomatic about stuff. I just say it like it is. This thing has been happening. It's been happening in homes. It's been happening within the government. It's been happening in schools. It's been happening everywhere. But unfortunately, we are in a society where women are raised to think that, it's okay. You are not the only one it has happened to. If you go say anything, you are the one that will be embarrassed, which is still happening till tomorrow.
Yeah,
You know,
stigma.
someone comes up. Yeah, the stigma is what is scaring a lot of people from coming up to say, this has happened to me and that has happened to me. And the things that we celebrate too is crazy. It's crazy painful. And I've been fighting against this for a long time. Domestic violence, sexual assault, sexual harassment, and all. And it made me paranoid when I started having kids and I had girls.
Right.
Yeah, because when my daughters turned 3, between the age of 3 to 5, that was when I started teaching them about, don't go to any room if it's a guy that's there and he's alone. Don't sit on any man's lap. I don't care who he is, whether it's my father, my brother, my
Thank
friend. I don't
you.
care.
God bless you.
Don't give full frontal hugs. Anyone wants to hug you, you give him your side. If anyone says, oh, come, let me carry you, tell them, uncle, I'm a big girl. I don't want to be carried. I
Idiots.
started
I
teaching them
not, oh
on
my God.
time.
Preach it, preach it, preach it, preach it.
Yeah, and I started telling women that I know, if you have kids, show them, teach them the parts of the body. Anybody touches you here, between here and here, you hit the person's hand, you scream, you
Just
run.
and
Scream and
yell at
run.
them.
So it's just, and most of the time, because of ignorance as well, a lot of people don't have such conversations with their female, with their children. And then the way we raise men in the society as well, the way we raise boys, raise them to think that they're entitled, to certain things, even up to the woman's body. You're not entitled to a woman's body. If she says no, it is no. But because we don't have a society that punishes these people publicly for people to know, what can happen when if you do something like this. These things are still happening in homes. I just had a fight with someone on social media last week because we're talking about spousal rape, marital rape, and he tells me there's no such thing. I'm like, are you kidding? In 2020 there is no such thing as spousal rape. Are you and so we have a long way to go in sensitizing people, because the ignorance is even worse than the crime itself. The ignorance on both sides, both men and women,
Right, right,
it's a lot. So I commend you for doing that kind of video. I really do commend you, because not a lot of people will be bold enough to even talk about it. So
and I think for me, it's, you get to a certain age, and it's sometimes not so much the age, but in my case, maybe that's what it is. You start to feel accountable to those
yeah,
coming from, coming behind you. That, so someone seeing, I have a daughter, so it's important that also that she has a voice. It's
yeah.
important, just like you. I mean, from very early on, there's no sitting on any stupid man's lap.
Mhm,
That's just rubbish. We don't do
mhm,
frontal, we don't do that.
mhm,
From very early on, she knows the right place. When they touch you wrong, mom's got to
mhm.
know, dad's got to
Yep,
know. You got
yep.
to raise an alarm. You got to, you know what? This is a bad man. We got to, shame that man. And that's just the
Mhm,
truth. For me, yeah, it's taken this long. Again, this is the thing that irritates me about, and it's just the stigma thing. You become almost like a pariah. You're made, you're shamed, you know.
mhm,
Um, 88, it's that's how many years ago? That's 30 plus years,
mhm.
that's like 32 years. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just dated myself. But anyway, the thing is, it took this long. People close to me kind of knew because I shared it, at that period, and I felt a strong need to do that because
Mm.
when you have a platform, you have obligations, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah. Of course.
people looking, people hearing is like, so if they see me, they hear like, oh wow, okay, it's okay. It doesn't define you. It should not.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it did, it shouldn't anymore.
Yeah.
Get
Mhm.
yourself losing and all that. So people see me, they hear me like, oh well, if she's still standing, she's talking, she's
Mhm.
okay, then you do
Mhm.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the sad thing, because also a friend of mine had shared her experience with me, and that just got me angry. And her experience is what a lot of women go through.
Mm.
Women do not support women.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It
that's
happened.
why I said it's both sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
women do not support women. This thing
Mm.
happened to her. She went to a total stranger thinking that she will be helped. She sees her as a woman because that's the safety net,
Yeah.
running away from here. She goes to this woman, a pastor,
Yeah.
pastor. And the woman is like, so what were you wearing? What?
Exactly.
She's
Yeah.
like, if it even comes to that she had on tight, she had jeans, she had a shirt, she was covered up. So the woman's like, well, what did you do? So after going past, what were you wearing? He comes,
What did you
so
do?
what did you do?
Did
It's
you
not
seduce
about,
him? Yeah.
yeah, it's not about that. So that's one thing. Women need to, I mean, on both sides, like you say, they've got to be, um, there's some awareness. We need more work. We need,
A
you
lot of
know,
work.
a
A
lot.
lot. If you ask 70% of the women who reported these things when it happened to them, most of them reported to other women and nothing was done.
Nothing was done.
Because in the mind of that woman, it happened to me too. Nobody did anything. So
Nobody
why
did
do
it,
you
so
think
why
yours
was
should be
it? And
different?
that is the truth. That is the truth.
Yeah.
Since I did the thing, some people
Hmm.
have seen it and they've written to me and they're like, and I'm like, are you able to talk about it? They're like, oh no, I don't.
Hey, that's the
The thing is,
thing.
they're married. They're married.
Yeah.
Don't want the
Yeah.
husband to either know because it's
Yeah.
a simple thing, or their husband knows, but they don't want the world to know someone has been there.
Mm.
Again, is the thinking. And it's funny because when I did this, a friend of mine called me because she was like shocked because I've never really shared it. Only
Hmm.
very few people, and she's like, Amanda, I did not know. I'm like, yeah, I didn't share with you. She's like, but it's so funny that somebody else was saying that
Mm.
a friend of hers was saying the reason why. So she was asking me who knew, and I told her. I mean, we're in college. That was like um, university. So I'm like,
Hmm.
well, I wasn't married or anything. So she said, well, a friend of ours confided in her that it happened to her, but she could not tell the husband because she felt
Mm.
it would break their marriage. I'm like, well, many years later, for me, I
Hmm.
was in a relationship with a guy. And I remember in the news, they said a woman was raped.
Mm.
And here I am feeling bad. This guy is supposed to be like almost fiance level, right?
Yeah.
Like we're promising we're gonna get married and what have you. And he's like, oh, wow, ah, that kind of thing can happen to you.
Ah.
I'm like, what? What are you
Wow.
saying? He's like, I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, that means we can't. You go hard, Sha, to move
Wow.
on. Do you know what he's saying?
Mm.
You can't marry.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like the woman that was raped in because
Mhm.
like burglars came and they raped the woman, and so he's like, oh, that marriage is effed up. There's no way.
Wow.
I'm like, are you
Wow.
kidding? It's like that kind of thing can happen to you.
It's so sad though.
And that
Because
was really
what now happens to the woman? It's not her fault. She's the victim,
not
and
her
then
fault.
she
Yeah.
gets to suffer that again.
Yes.
That's the problem.
That's like
You know.
you're doing the same thing all over again.
Her, yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
bad. So yeah. So we have to women. We need women to support
Yep.
women, and it's okay to support another woman, and
Yeah.
then
It
to
is
raise our sons differently.
exactly.
Let them know no means
Exactly.
no, and you don't need to be doing that to
Mhm.
a woman. Yeah. So I
Mhm.
wanted to again, having daughters, I've asked some of my guests that yeah, I finally did. I came out. Yeah, and it's something if I would probably talk about it at a later time where I'll have
Mm.
back. I have a panel of women and men, so it's just something because we have to, in our own way, create that awareness even more
Yeah.
with the platform we have.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I enjoyed your contribution to that.
Thank you.